The coffee pot shattered against the wall. That kid. Hot liquid sprayed across expensive marble. Ceramic shards scattered like shrapnel. Get out. The man in the wheelchair hadn't raised his voice. Didn't need to. The two words landed like bullets. The nurse, the fourth one this month, scrambled for the elevator. Gone in 15 seconds. The doors closed on her terrified face. Silence. She straightened from her crouch. Looked at the coffee spreading across the floor. Looked at the man who'd thrown it. Then she walked to the cleaning closet. What you doing? His voice was ice. Cleaning. She pulled out a mop. Bucket. Before it stains. I didn't ask you to. You're right. You didn't ask. She filled the bucket. Started mopping. But I'm the one who has to work in this space, and I'm not spending my day staring at coffee stains. She heard his sharp intake of breath. Felt his stare like a physical weight. The head of household, Mrs. Park, according to the file, appeared in the doorway. Face pale. Miss Okonkwo, perhaps you should. It's fine. She kept mopping. Stepped around the wheelchair to reach a far corner. Almost done. She worked in steady silence, humming under her breath. An old highlife song her mother used to sing while cooking. The man in the wheelchair said nothing, but he watched. When the floor was clean, she emptied the bucket, put the supplies away, turned to face him properly for the first time. Sharp features, dark eyes that looked straight through her. A face that would be beautiful if it ever softened. Perfectly tailored suit despite the wheelchair. Everything about him screamed power. This was Kong Seo-jun, the Ice King of Seoul, and he'd just thrown a coffee pot at his fourth nurse in 2 weeks. You're standing on my clean spot, she said. Could you move, please? Behind her, Mrs. Park made a strangled sound. Seo-yun stiffed. 5 seconds. 10. His eyes narrowed. Then he wheeled backward 2 feet. Better. Perfect. Thank you. She pulled out her tablet. I'm Kikidera Okonkwo. I'm your new nurse. Should we start with vitals? Or would you like to throw something else first? The corner of his mouth twitched. Not quite a smile, but close enough to shock Mrs. Park into complete stillness. Vitals, he said quietly. Great choice. She moved closer. Set down her bag. This'll just take a minute. She reached for his wrist to check his pulse. The moment her fingers touched his skin, he gasped. Her hand jerked back. Did I hurt you? No. His voice had changed. Gone strange. Rough. Mr. Kong. Do that again. What? Touch my wrist. His eyes locked on hers. Intense. Almost desperate. Please. The please startled her more than the gasp had. She placed her fingers against his wrist again. Found his pulse. Strong. Steady. Faster than it should be. His eyes closed. His breath caught. I felt that, he whispered. I felt your fingers on my skin. Her mind raced. His medical file said complete paralysis. No sensation below the waist. Limited sensation in arms and hands. Nerve damage. Belmano. That shouldn't be possible. I know what it shouldn't be. His hand covered hers. Pressed her fingers harder against his pulse. I don't care. I felt it, I felt you. First time he'd used her name. It sounded different in his mouth. Careful, like something fragile he was testing. When did this start? The returning sensation. When did you first notice? 30 seconds ago. When you touched me. Chi's training kicked in. That's not how nerve damage works. Then explain it. She couldn't. The science said impossible. His grip on her hand said otherwise. I need to run tests. Map your responses. Check if this is localized, or it's only you. His thumb traced across her knuckles. Testing. Mrs. Park handed me medication this morning. Nothing. The physical therapist yesterday. Nothing. 6 months of doctors and specialists. Nothing. His voice dropped. Then you touched me, and I felt everything. You're still here. After watching him throw a coffee pot. After seeing her refuse to flinch. After feeling that impossible moment when his dead nerves came alive under her touch. You know what you want. Subscribe. I promise you. This story is going to be a hell of a ride. The test took 2 hours. Chi was methodical, professional, mapping every response, documenting the impossible. His arms, sensation present when she touched, partial when he touched objects himself, nothing when others made contact. His chest, returning sensitivity along his spine where her hand rested. On a moment she lifted it. Below the waist, nothing. The paralysis remained complete. But where she touched, impossibility bloomed. This doesn't make medical sense, Chi muttered, reviewing her notes. Does it need to? She looked up. He'd wheeled to the windows, soul spreading beneath like scattered diamonds. Yes, science requires explanation. Maybe some things just are. He turned to face her. I believe what I feel. 6 months of nothing. Then you walked in. Refused to be afraid. And suddenly I can feel again. It could be psychological. I wanted to walk for 6 months. Wanted it desperately. One hasn't created anything. His eyes held hers. You're different. The word hung between them. She looked at her tablet, at data that defied everything she'd learned. I need to document this. Send it to your neurologist. No, Mr. Kong. Soon. His voice was quiet. If you're going to bring my nerves back to life, use my name. Your doctors need to know. So they can tell me it's impossible? Run tests that explain it away. He shook his head. I know what I feel. That's enough. She understood then. The coffee pot. The fired nurses. The Ice King reputation. He wasn't difficult. He was drowning. Okay, she said softly. We'll document it privately. For now. But if there's any change, we bring in your medical team. Deal. Relief washed across his face. Deal. She glanced at her watch. 8 p.m. I should go. Early start tomorrow. Stay for dinner. The request startled her. I should get back. I'm not asking as your patient. He met her eyes. I'm asking as someone who would like company for a meal. You can refuse. The you can refuse felt important. Every professional instinct screamed complications. But her mother had taught her that lonely people deserve kindness. What's for dinner? That almost smile touched his mouth. MRS 박메익스 엑설런트 된장찌개. I have no idea what that is. Then you should stay and find out. Dinner was quiet. They sat at a table designed for 12. Just the two of them at one end. Mrs. Park served silently. The stew was rich, savory, unlike anything she had tasted. It's good, she said. Korean comfort food. He moved food around his bowl more than he ate. My mother used to make it. Used to. She died when I was 8. The words were flat, empty, like he'd said them so many times they'd stopped meaning anything. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. Doesn't make it hurt less. His eyes found hers. Held. No, he said quietly. It doesn't. They ate in silence after that. Not uncomfortable. Just two people who understood that some grief didn't need words. She stood to clear her bowl. Started gathering dishes. You don't have to do that. I'm already up. You're not staff. I'm also not useless. She smiled. My mother raised me to clean up after myself. Tell me about her. The request caught her off guard. She set the bowls down. Sat back down. Her name was Abina. She was Ghanaian. Moved to Atlanta in her 20s. Met my father. He left when I was 3. She stayed. She's fingers traced patterns on the table. She was a chef. Dreamed of opening a restaurant. Ghanaian fusion. She'd mix high life with Southern soul food. Create something new. Did she open it? She was 6 months from signing the lease when she got diagnosed. Chi's voice stayed steady. Barely. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. We had 18 months. She spent it teaching me every recipe she knew. Writing them down. Making me promise I'd open the restaurant for her. Will you? That's why I'm here. Work exchange pays well. I save for a year. Go back to Accra. Honor her dream. Seo Jun was quiet for a long moment. She'd be proud. You didn't know her. I know you. His eyes held hers. Anyone who raised someone like you did something right. Chi's throat closed. She hadn't expected kindness. Hadn't expected him to see her grief and meet it with his own. Thank you. He nodded once. The moment stretched between them. Heavy. Full of things neither of them knew how to say. Finally, Chi stood. I should go. Early start tomorrow. 6 a.m. I remember. She gathered her things, headed for the elevator. His voice stopped her at the door. Key. She turned. He was silhouetted against the windows again, Seoul glittering behind him, his face in shadow. You're dismissed. You can leave. Find another placement. Easier patient. Simpler situation. Her hand hovered over the elevator button. But, he continued, voice dropping lower, I'm asking you to come back tomorrow. 6 a.m. I'm asking you to stay. She should ask why. Should establish boundaries. Should remember that he was the Ice King and she was temporary, and this was supposed to be simple. 6 a.m., she said. The elevator doors closed on his expression. Relief. Wonder. Something that looked almost like hope. Mrs. Park found him on the balcony an hour later. Still in the same spot, staring at the city. She'll quit like the others, Mrs. Park said quietly. I know. You shouldn't get attached. I know that too. Silence. Then Mrs. Park did something she hadn't done in the 6 months since Busan. She touched his shoulder. Brief. Gentle. She's different from the others. I know. Mrs. Park left him alone with the night. Seo Jun sat in the cold, feeling his pulse where Chi had touched. The sensation was fading. Slowly, like his body was forgetting how to feel without her. He looked at his hands. The same hands that had built an empire, destroyed enemies, signed death warrants without hesitation. The same hands that had felt nothing for 6 months. Until her. Ne Oja, he whispered to the empty air. My woman. He didn't question it, didn't analyze it, didn't wonder if he had the right to claim someone he'd known for 12 hours. He just knew, the way he knew Seoul belonged to him, the way he knew his brother had betrayed him, the way he knew she was going to change everything. She just didn't know it yet. No one had seen the Ice King stand in 6 months. The doctors said never. The spine specialists said impossible. The best surgeons in 3 countries had reviewed his scans and delivered the same verdict, permanent. But they didn't know about the woman who refused to see him as broken. They didn't know about her touch bringing sensation where medical science said none could exist. They didn't know what was about to begin. They didn't know what love could resurrect. Week 1. She arrived at 6 a.m. every morning, left at 8 p.m. every night. 14 hours of physical therapy, vital checks, medication schedules, and carefully documented impossibilities. The sensation only happened when she touched him. Only her. She'd tested it obsessively. Had Mrs. Park check his pulse. Nothing. Had the physical therapist adjust his arm during exercises. Nothing. She would place her hand in the exact same spot 30 seconds later. Sensation bloomed like flowers under her fingertips. It's neurologically impossible, she muttered on day 3, reviewing her notes. Seo Jun looked up from his laptop. He worked constantly, built his empire from a wheelchair with the same ruthless efficiency he'd used when he could walk. You keep saying that, because it keeps being true. And yet, he held out his hand, palm up, waiting. He hesitated. This was the part that blurred lines. The part that made her supervisor's warnings echo in her head about professional boundaries and ethical complications. But his hand was steady, patient. She crossed the room, placed her palm against his. His fingers closed around hers immediately. His eyes closed. His breath released like he'd been holding it. There, he said quietly. Impossible. We should tell your doctors. No. Soyun. They'll take you away. His eyes opened. Met Hirsch. They'll decide you're a variable that needs controlling. They'll run tests. Separate us to establish baselines. And I'll go back to feeling nothing. His grip tightened. I'm not going back. She looked at their joined hands. She should argue. Should insist on proper medical protocol. Should remember that she was leaving in 11 months and 23 days, and this was temporary. Okay, she said instead. We'll document it ourselves. For now, relief washed across his face. He didn't let go of her hand for another 3 minutes. Day 5. She found him on the balcony at 2 a.m. Sweat-soaked, shaking, eyes fixed on nothing. She'd heard him from her room. The penthouse had a small staff quarters where she stayed during overnight shifts. His scream had torn through the silence like a wound. Soon. No response. She moved closer, touched his shoulder carefully. He flinched, then recognized her. His entire body sagged. "Gochana, it's okay." But his voice said otherwise. "Nightmare." He nodded once. Busan. Another nod. She pulled up a chair, sat beside him, didn't ask questions, didn't offer empty comfort, just sat. After 5 minutes of silence, he spoke. "I dream I'm still there, in a warehouse, bleeding. My legs won't move. I'm calling for help, but no one comes." His voice was flat, empty. Then I wake up and realize the dream is just reality with worse lighting. "You survived." "Did I?" He looked at her. "Or did I just take longer to die?" She'd worked with trauma patients before, knew the signs, the way survival could feel like punishment when everything you were had been taken. "You're still here," she said quietly. "Still fighting, still building. That's not dying. That's living in a way most people are too afraid to try." "You sound like you believe that." "Ido." "What?" "Because I watched someone actually die." Her voice stayed steady. "Barely. I watched my mother fade for 18 months. Watched her fight until her body had nothing left. Watched her take her last breath in a hospital that smelled like disinfectant and defeat." She met his eyes. "You're not dying, Seo-jun. You're angry you can't die the way you wanted to. There's a difference." Silence. Then his hand found hers in the darkness. "I'm sorry. About your mother. I'm sorry about Busan." His thumb traced patterns across her knuckles. "Do you dream about her?" "Every night." "Does it help?" "Talking about it." "No." Chi's voice softened. "But it helps not being alone with it." They sat like that until dawn started bleeding across Seoul's skyline. His hand in hers. Two people haunted by different deaths, finding strange comfort in shared silence. When the sun finally rose, Seo-jun looked at her. "감사합니다. Hisidu kaioturi." "Thank you." "For what?" "For not leaving when I screamed." "Where would I go?" Something that might have been a smile touched his mouth. "Most people would find somewhere." "I'm not most people." I'm starting to understand that. Day 7. One of Seo-jun's associates arrived for a meeting. Mid-40s, expensive suit, eyes that assessed everything and valued nothing. She was in the kitchen preparing his medication when the man walked in. His eyes raked over her. Dismissive, contemptuous. "Coffee," he said, not asking, commanding. "I'm his nurse, not his staff." The man's expression hardened. "I don't care what you are." I said coffee, and I said no. Silence. The man stepped closer. Invasion of space designed to intimidate. "Do you know who I am?" "Someone who's about to leave my kitchen." "Your kitchen?" He laughed. "Cold. Mean. Your help. Temporary. You'll be gone in a month like all the others. Don't forget your place." "Is there a problem?" Seo-jun's voice cut through the tension like a blade. He'd wheeled to the kitchen doorway, silent as a ghost. But his presence filled the room instantly. The associate's face paled. "Boss, I was just..." "You were just leaving." Seo-jun's voice was pleasant. His eyes were not. "We'll reschedule our meeting." "But we haven't." "We're done." Not loud. Didn't need to be. "And Kim?" The man froze at the door. "If you speak to her again," Seo-jun continued, voice dropping to something soft and lethal. "If you look at her wrong, if you breathe in her direction without permission, I will remind you why people call me the Ice King. Are we clear?" Kim nodded frantically. Disappeared. Silence. She stared at Seo-jun. "We didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did." He wheeled closer. "You're under my protection. That means something. I can handle myself." "I know. I watched you refuse to flinch when I threw a coffee pot at someone's head." That almost smile touched his mouth. "But just because you can handle yourself doesn't mean you should have to." Chi's heart did something complicated. This was dangerous. The way he looked at her. The way her pulse raced when he defended her. The way professional boundaries were dissolving like sugar in water. "Thank you." she said quietly. 언제든지. Anytime. His hand found hers. Sensation sparked. Neither of them pulled away. Day 10. Mrs. Park cornered Chi in the hallway. You're different from the others, she said without preamble. So I've heard. The others were afraid of him. Or they pitied him. Or they saw an opportunity. Mrs. Park's eyes were sharp. Assessing. You see a person. He is a person. He's also the most dangerous man in Seoul. I know what he is. Do you? Mrs. Park stepped closer. Do you know about the warehouse in Busan? About the men who didn't survive that night? About the empire he built on fear and blood? I know he survived things that would have broken most people, Chi said quietly. I know he's in pain and trying to hide it. I know he's lonely in a way that money can't fix. She met Mrs. Park's eyes. And I know he's more than the worst things he's done. Mrs. Park studied her for a long moment. Then her expression softened. Just slightly. He hasn't smiled since Busan. Not once in 6 months. She glanced toward Seo Jun's office. Yesterday, I heard him laugh. At something you said. I'd forgotten what his laugh sounded like. Mrs. Park, be careful, the older woman said. Not unkind. With him. With yourself. This world eats soft things alive. Who says I'm soft? Mrs. Park's mouth twitched. You hum while you clean. You thank the coffee maker. You're soft. Soft doesn't mean weak. No, Mrs. Park agreed quietly. Sometimes it means brave. Sometimes dangerously so. Day 12. Seo Jun's physical therapist arrived for the twice-weekly session. Professional. Efficient. He'd been working with Seo Jun since Busan. She observed from the corner, taking notes. Any changes? The therapist asked. Seo Jun's eyes flicked to Chi then back. No, same as always. Lie. The session continued. Mechanical. The therapist moved Seo Jun's arms through resistance exercises. Checked reflexes that didn't respond. Documented the same lack of progress he'd been documenting for 6 months. When he left, Chi approached the therapy table. You lied to him. Yes. Why? Seo Jun was quiet for a moment. Because the sensation is mine. Ours. I'm not sharing it with people who will turn it into data points and treatment plans. It could help your recovery. Or it could take you away from me. His eyes held hers. I'm not risking that. Chi's breath caught. The weight of what he wasn't saying hung between them. I'm leaving in 11 months, she said. Reminder for both of them. I'm going back to Accra. This is temporary. I know. Then why? Because temporary is better than nothing. His hand reached for hers. She let him take it. Because for the first time in 6 months, something doesn't hurt. Because when you walk into a room, I remember what it feels like to want tomorrow. She should pull away. Should remember professional ethics and her mother's restaurant and the life waiting for her in Ghana. She laced her fingers through his instead. This is a bad idea, she whispered. Probably. I'm your nurse. I know. We barely know each other. I know that too. His thumb traced across her knuckles. The gesture was becoming familiar. Comforting. Dangerous. Tell me to stop. Tell me this is just medical. Tell me I'm imagining what's happening here. She couldn't. Because she felt it too. The pull. The way his darkness didn't frighten her as much as it should. The way her light seemed to find cracks in his ice. I should go, she said. Didn't move. You should. Neither of them let go. Day 14. Late evening. She was finishing documentation when Seo Jun's laptop chimed. He stared at the screen. His face went carefully blank. That was worse than anger. What's wrong? Nothing. Soon. He was quiet for a long moment. Then turned the laptop toward her. Security footage. Date stamped 6 months ago. The day of Busan. A man getting into a car. Healthy. No sign of illness. The timestamp read 30 minutes before the warehouse attack. I don't understand, Chi said. That's my brother. Tayo. Seo Jun's voice was empty. He called in sick that day. Said he had food poisoning. Couldn't come to the meeting. His finger traced the timestamp. He lied. The implication hit Chi like cold water. You think he... I know he did. Seo Jun closed the laptop. The ambush was too precise. Too well timed. Someone told them when I'd be there, when I'd be vulnerable, who I'd have with me. Your own brother. Family is just people who know exactly where to put the knife. His voice was flat, dead. I should have seen it coming. He always resented being second. Father spare heir. The other calm brother. What are you going to do? I don't know. For the first time since Chi had met him, Seo Jun looked lost. He's all the family I have left. My mother's dead. My father's dead. Taeho is. His voice broke. Just slightly. He's all I have. Chi crossed to him, knelt beside his wheelchair, took his face in her hands. He's not all you have. Seo Jun's eyes closed. Don't what? Don't make promises you can't keep. Don't make me need you more than I already do. Don't. She kissed his forehead. Gentle, soft, the kind of comfort that had nothing to do with desire and everything to do with seeing someone break and refusing to let them shatter alone. His arms came around her, pulled her close, his face buried in her shoulder. He didn't cry. Men like Seo Jun didn't cry. But he held her like she was the only thing keeping him together. And she held him back. Two broken people, clinging to each other in the darkness, pretending they could heal what had been shattered. She told herself Seoul was temporary. 1 year. Save money. Go back to Accra with enough to honor her mother's dream. She told herself not to get attached, not to care about the man whose nerves came alive under her touch, not to need his almost smiles and 2 a.m. conversations and the way he looked at her like she was oxygen. She was lying. She didn't know it yet. 3 a.m. She woke to sound from the kitchen. She found Seo Jun there, attempting to make tea from his wheelchair, struggling with the kettle placement. Can't sleep? She asked. Never can after the nightmares. Want company? Always. They sat at the kitchen counter, steam rising from cups, Seoul silent beyond the windows. Tell me about Accra, Seo Jun said quietly. What about it? What it's like? Where you'll open the restaurant. What your life will look like when you leave here. When you leave me, he didn't say, but she heard it anyway. There's a neighborhood called OSU. Busy, colorful, full of life. Her voice softened with memory. My mother found a space there once, before she got sick. Small, but perfect. Windows facing the street. Kitchen big enough for her vision. Will you use that space? If it's still available. If I can afford it. She sipped her tea. I'll call it Abina's kitchen. Serve everything she taught me. Keep her alive the only way I know how. She'd love that. I hope so. Silence. Then Seo Jun's hand found hers. When you go, he said quietly, take something good with you. Don't let Seoul just be the place you came to survive. Let it be the place you learned you were stronger than you thought. Is that what you want it to be for me? I want you to remember me and not feel sad. His eyes held hers. I want you to go back to Ghana and build your mother's dream and smile when you think about the strange man in a wheelchair who fell for you in 2 weeks. Chi's throat closed. Who says I'm leaving you sad? We both know I'm temporary too. His voice was soft, certain, resigned. I'm a broken mafia boss. You're the sunshine nurse. This is the part where we heal each other just enough to survive goodbye. That's a depressing story. It's a realistic one. Chi turned in her seat, faced him fully. What if I don't want realistic? Ki. What if I want impossible? What if I want the version where your nerves heal because I touch them? When my grief lifts because you understand it? Where two broken people figure out how to be less broken together? That's not how the world works. Your legs aren't supposed to feel anything when I touch you. She placed her hand over his heart. But they do. So maybe the world doesn't know everything. Seo Jun stiffte her. Then his hand covered hers, pressed it harder against his chest. I'm falling for you, he said quietly. I've been since you refused to be afraid. Since you cleaned my tantrum like it was nothing. Since you sat with me in nightmares and saw me as human instead of monster. Seo Jun, I know it's too fast. I know you're leaving. I know this is impossible. His voice dropped to a whisper. I don't care. I am fallen anyway. Chi should pull away. Should remember professional boundaries and her plans and all the reasons this was dangerous. She leaned forward instead, pressed her forehead to his. Then fall, she whispered. I'll catch you. His breath shuddered. His hand slid into her hair. They stayed like that, foreheads touching, breathing the same air. The moment stretched, heavy, full of everything they weren't ready to say. Then his phone rang. They pulled apart slowly, reluctantly. Seo Jun glanced at the screen. His face hardened. I need to take this. Okay. He stood, started to leave. His hand caught her wrist. Gentle, grounding. Don't go far, he said quietly. I'll be in my room. She left him to his call. Didn't hear the conversation. Didn't hear the voice on the other end. Didn't know that everything was about to change. The man's name was Dr. James Morrison. American, early 30s. Warm smile. He worked with the same exchange program that brought Chi to Seoul. He appeared in Seo Jun's penthouse on day 16 with medical supplies and friendly conversation. He brightened when he saw her. I didn't know you were placed here. Small world. She smiled. Professional. Polite. Seo Jun watched from his position by the windows, cataloging everything. The way Morrison said her name. Familiar. Comfortable. The way she smiled at him. Different from how she smiled at others. The way Morrison's hand touched her shoulder. Brief. Casual. Friendly. Seo Yun hated it. You two know each other, he said. Voice pleasant. Eyes not. We went through orientation together. Chi explained. James is a physician. Works with patients in Gangnam mostly. James. Seo Jun's voice was flat. How convenient. Morrison seemed oblivious to the tension. I'm actually here to drop off some specialized equipment. Your previous physician ordered it before he stopped. Reconsidered. Before Busan. How thoughtful. She glanced at Seo Jun. Something in his voice had changed. Gone soft. Wrong. Dangerous. I should help unload, Morrison said. Chi, want to give me a hand? Sure. They left together. Seo Jun sat in perfect stillness, watching through the windows as they worked. Morrison saying something. He laughing. The sound carrying back to where Seo Jun waited. His hands gripped the wheelchair arms. White-knuckled, trembling. Mrs. Park appeared silently beside him. She's being polite. Professional. I know. He's a colleague. Nothing more. I know that too. Then why do you look like you want to throw him off the balcony? Seo Jun didn't answer. Because the truth was ugly. He was jealous. Violently. Irrationally. Of a man who could stand. Walk. Touch Chi without the weight of a criminal empire and a broken body and a future that looked like slow decline. Boss, Mrs. Park said quietly. She chose to stay. Every morning for 16 days. She chose you. For now. That's all any of us get. Now. Morrison stayed for coffee. Friendly. Charming. He told stories about orientation. About the culture shock of Seoul. About the patients who surprised him. He listened. Smiled. Participated in easy conversation. Seo Jun said almost nothing. Just watched. The way Morrison looked at her. The interest barely hidden behind professional courtesy. The way Chi didn't notice. Or pretended not to. We should get dinner sometime, Morrison said as he prepared to leave. Catch up properly. There's a great fusion place in Itaewon I've been wanting to try. He hesitated. Seo Jun's water glass cracked in his grip. Blood seeped between his fingers. Boss. Mrs. Park moved toward him. I'm Fina. His voice was ice. Chi's eyes snapped to him. To his hand. To the blood. Soo-yoon. Answer him. Seo Jun's eyes never left Morrison. He asked you a question. The air went cold. Morrison looked between them, finally sensing the danger. I should go, he said quickly. Chi, think about it. No pressure. He left. Silence. Chi crossed to Seo Jun, took his bleeding hand without asking, started examining the cuts. That was subtle, she said. I wasn't trying to be subtle. He was being friendly. He wants you. You don't know that. I know exactly that. Seo Jun's voice was quiet. Lethal. I know what a man looks like when he's imagining what it would be like to have you. I should. I see it in the mirror every time you leave a room. Chi's hand stilled. Suyun. Who is he? Not asking. Demanding. I told you. A colleague. Were you involved? Before Seoul? No. Did you want to be? She looked at him. Really looked. At the jealousy written across every line of his body. The fear hiding behind anger. No, she said quietly. I didn't. Some of the tension bled from his shoulders. Why not? He's safe. Normal. Everything I'm not. Because safe and normal doesn't make my pulse race. She held his gaze. Because when I touch him, nothing happens. No imposible sensation. No feeling like the air's too thin. No. He kissed her. Sudden. Desperate. His hand sliding into her hair. Pulling her closer. She gasped against his mouth. Then kissed him back. Finally. After 16 days of tension and almost moments in careful distance. Finally. His mouth was warm. Demanding. The kiss tasted like jealousy and need and things neither of them knew how to name. She cupped his face, kissed him deeper, felt his shudder of response. His hand fisted in her hair. Not hurting, just holding, like she might disappear if he let go. They broke apart, breathing hard, foreheads pressed together. Tell me you didn't feel that with him, Seo-jun whispered roughly. I didn't. Tell me this is real. Not just proximity and loneliness and it's real. Her thumb traced his jaw. For me, it's real. His eyes closed. Chogia. The word was rough. Raw. Honey. Baby. The first endearment. I can't, his voice broke. I can't be what you need. I can't walk you through Seoul. Can't protect you the way I should. Can't give you normal or safe or any of the things you deserve. I don't want normal. You should. Then I'm making terrible choices. She kissed him again. Softer. I'm falling for you too. I've been since you moved out of my clean spot. Since you said please like the word hurt. Since you saw my grief and didn't try to fix it. Key. His phone rang. They ignored it. It rang again. You should answer, she whispered. I don't want to. It might be important. Seo-jun pulled back reluctantly. Check the screen. His face changed. I need to take this. Okay. He answered. Listened. His expression went carefully blank. That was worse than anger. When... Pause. How many? Another pause. I'll handle it. He ended the call. Silence. What's wrong? She asked. My brother requested a formal meeting. Tomorrow. Here. His voice was empty. He's bringing lawyers. Lawyers for what? Suyun Nuktea. Something broken and furious in his eyes. To have me declared mentally incompetent. To take control of the family business. His hand found hers. Gripped tight. He's making his move. Midnight. She found Seo-jun in his office. Surrounded by files. Laptop glowing in the darkness. You should sleep, she said. Can't. Need to prepare. For what? You haven't done anything wrong. I fell for my nurse. His voice was bitter. That's all he needs. Evidence of compromised judgment. Inappropriate attachments. He'll paint me as unstable. Emotionally compromised. Unable to lead. That's not. It's exactly what it looks like. He gestured at the space between them. You're my employee. I'm your patient. We kissed. If he has documentation, if he has witnesses, Mrs. Park wouldn't. He doesn't need her. He just needs enough doubt. Seo-jun's hands fisted. He'll take everything. The company, the assets, the power. And I'll be left with nothing but a wheelchair and memories of what I used to be. She crossed him, knelt beside his chair. Then we fight. With what? I have no leverage. No. You have me. Her eyes burned into his. You have truth. You have 6 months of surviving what should have killed you. You have. It's not enough. Then we make it enough. Seo-jun stirrte her. Why are you doing this? Doing what? Fighting for me. You could walk away. Find another placement. Safer situation. Let me burn alone. Because you didn't let me grieve alone. She's hand found his. Because you see me as human instead of help. Because when you kiss me, I forget why I ever thought temporary was acceptable. His breath caught. I'm going to lose tomorrow, he said quietly. Taeho has planned this for months. He has lawyers and doctors and evidence of my decline. I have a nurse I'm falling in love with and nerve damage that medicine can't explain. You're in love with me? Silence. Then, yes. The word hung between them. Simple. Devastating. True. We've known each other 16 days, she whispered. I know. This is insane. I know that too. I'm supposed to leave in. I know. His hand cupped her face. I know all the reasons this is impossible. I'm still falling. Still drowning. Still in love with you anyway. Chi's eyes burned. 사랑해. The Korean came before the English. I love you, Seo-jun. I love you and I don't know when it happened or how to stop it or what to do about tomorrow. Then let me have tonight. His forehead pressed to hers. Let me have this. Before everything falls apart. She kissed him. Deeper this time. Longer. His hands in her hair. Her hands on his shoulders. The kiss tasted like desperation and love and goodbye. They broke apart, gasping. Come to bed with me, he whispered. Soon. Not for that. Not yet. His thumb traced her lip. Just sleep beside me. Let me hold you. Let me have one night where I'm not alone with nightmares. She should refuse. Should maintain boundaries. Should remember professional ethics. Okay, she said. His bed was massive. They lay facing each other in the darkness. Not touching. Just close. Tell me about your father, she said quietly. Why? Because I want to know you. All of you. Not just the parts you show the world. Seo-jun was quiet for a long moment. He was brutal. Cold. He built the empire on fear and violence. Taught me and Tae-ho to be weapons. His voice was flat. He'd pit us against each other. Make us fight. Reward the winner. Punish the loser. He said it made us strong. It made you survive. Same thing in his world. What happened to him? Heart attack. 3 years ago. Seo-jun's mo twisted. He died in his office. Alone. No one found him for 6 hours. Even in death, people were afraid to disturb him. I'm sorry. Don't be. The world's better without him. But you're not. His eyes found hers in the darkness. No, I'm not better without him. I'm just free to become exactly what he made me. You're more than what he made you. Am I? I've killed people, chi ordered deaths. Built my fortune on the same fear and blood he used. But you protect the people in your care. You're loyal to your staff. You grieve your mother 24 years later. She moved closer. You're capable of love. That's not what he made you. That's what survived despite him. Seo-jun's hand found hers under the covers. My mother used to sing, he said quietly. Old Korean lullabies. She'd sing while she cooked, while she cleaned, while she pretended our father wasn't a monster. His voice roughened. You're the same way. Different songs, but the same lightness. Like you're refusing to let darkness win. Is that why you let me stay? Because I reminded you of her? No, you reminded me that light exists. That's different. They lay in silence. She watching him, memorizing his face in the dim light from the windows. What happens tomorrow? She asked. Tae-ho comes. Makes his case. I probably lose everything. And then, I don't know. His thumb traced patterns across her knuckles. But whatever happens, thank you. For what? For 16 days of feeling human. For touching me when everyone else flinched. For loving me when you shouldn't. His eyes held hers. For making impossible things possible. Chi's throat closed. She moved closer, pressed her face into his shoulder. His arms came around her, held her tight. They fell asleep like that. Two people clinging to each other in the darkness, knowing tomorrow might tear them apart. Holding on anyway. He hadn't said, I love you, since his mother died when he was 8. 24 years of silence. But tonight, in a voice barely above a whisper, he'd said it to the woman who brought sensation back to his dead nerves. And he meant every syllable. Dawn came too fast. She woke to find Seo-jun already awake. Watching her. Hi, she whispered. Did you sleep? A little. His hand touched her face. Gentle, like she was something precious. You're beautiful in the morning. Liar. Never. Not to you. They lay there. The world held at bay, for just a few more moments. Then reality crashed in. A knock at the door. Mrs. Park's voice. Boss, they're here. See you nis Joe-Zeitend. It's time. Taeho arrived with 3 lawyers and 2 psychiatrists. She stood in the corner of the living room, watching, not officially part of the meeting, but refusing to leave. The brothers looked alike. Same sharp features, same dark eyes. But where Seo Jun's eyes held pain and fire, Taeho's held cold calculation. Home. Brother. Taeho's voice was smooth. You're looking well. Am I? Considering. Taeho gestured to the lawyers. This is just a formality. Medical evaluation. Making sure you're receiving proper care. Proper care. Seo Jun's voice was ice. From the brother who orchestrated my injury, the room went silent. Taeho's expression didn't change. I don't know what you're talking about. Busan. The warehouse. The ambush that was too perfectly timed. Seo Yun with closer. You called in sick that day. Except you weren't sick. Security footage shows you healthy. Getting into a car. 20 minutes before the attack. Coincidence. Betrayal. The lawyers shifted uncomfortably. One of the psychiatrists cleared his throat. Mr. Kong, perhaps we should begin the evaluation. No. Seo Jun's eyes never left his brother. You want to declare me incompetent? Fine. Let's discuss competence. Let's discuss who planned an attack on his own blood. Who abandoned family when they fell. Who's circling like a vulture waiting for death. Taeho's mesk slipped. Just slightly. You were always father's favorite. Always the strong one. The heir. The king. His voice turned bitter. I was the spare. The backup. The one no one remembered unless you failed. So you made me fail. I made myself matter. Taeo stepped closer. And now, you're broken. Weak. Clinging to a nurse like she can save you. His eyes flicked to Chi cold. Assessing. She can't. No one can. You're finished hung. Accept it. Seo Jun's hands gripped his wheelchair. She saw it happening. Saw him breaking. Saw the man who'd survived 6 months of hell finally reaching his limit. She stepped forward. You're wrong. Every eye turned to her. Taeho's expression turned contemptuous. Excuse me. He's not broken. He's not weak. He's not finished. She crossed to Seo Jun, stood beside him. He survived what should have killed him. Rebuilt what you tried to destroy. And he's still stronger than you'll ever be. You're his nurse. You're paid to say that. I'm not paid to love him. I do that for free. Silence. Seo Jun's hand found hers. Taeo laughed. Cruel. Perfect. This proves my point exactly. He's emotionally compromised. Inappropriate relationship with staff. Clearly unable to. If loving someone makes you incompetent, Chi interrupted, then you've never been competent. Because you've never loved anything except power. One of the lawyers coughed. Perhaps we should. Get out. Seo Jun's voice cut through the chaos. Quiet. Lethal. Everyone froze. All of you. Out. Now. The lawyers looked at Taeho. Uncertain. You heard him, Chi said. Voice steady. Strong. Leave. They left. Slowly. Reluctantly. All except Taeho. He stood in the doorway, looking at his brother, at the woman beside him. You'll regret this, he said quietly. Iregeal knowing, soon replied. Except believing you were family. Taeho left. The door closed. Silence. Then Seo Jun pulled Chi into his lap, buried his face in her shoulder. Didn't cry, just held her, like she was the only thing keeping him from shattering completely. Thank you, he whispered against her neck. For what? For fighting. For staying. For loving me when everyone else walked away. Chi's arms tightened around him. 언제든지. Anytime. They stayed like that. 2 people who'd found each other in impossible circumstances. Holding on as the world tried to tear them apart. Not knowing that the worst was yet to come. The competency hearing was scheduled for 72 hours. Taeho had filed formal papers. Medical evaluations. Psychiatric assessments. Documentation of Seo Jun's declining judgment and inappropriate emotional attachments. She spent those 3 days digging through files. Seo Jun had given her access to everything. Financial records, security footage, communications logs, 6 months of data documenting his brother's slow betrayal. She found it at 4:47 a.m. on the third day. Wire transfers, offshore accounts, payments to the doctors who declared Seo Jun's condition hopeless, payments to the therapist who documented no progress, payments to the specialists who'd recommended permanent care. Taeho had been buying Seo Jun's medical team, ensuring the prognosis stayed grim, keeping his brother broken. Look at this. Chi burst into Seo Jun's office, dawn barely breaking over Seoul. The doctors, the ones who said you'd never recover. Taeho paid them. Seo Jun took the tablet, scanned the transfers. His face went carefully blank. How much? Million. Spread over 6 months. Payments increasing each time they documented your lack of progress. He bought my death sentence. Seo Jun's voice was empty. Made sure I'd never have hope. But you do have hope. She moved closer. The sensation returning. That's real. That's only with you. And they'll call it psychosomatic. Phantom sensation. Desperate delusion. He set down the tablet. This proves Taeho's corrupt. It doesn't prove I'm competent. Then we make them see it. Ow! She was quiet for a moment. Then, let me testify. Let me show them what's happening. The medical impossibility. The nerve response. Everything. No, Soo-yoon. If you testify, Taeho will destroy you. He'll paint you as delusional, opportunistic, a nurse taking advantage of a vulnerable patient. His eyes held hers. I won't let him do that to you. I'm not afraid of him. You should be. He's taken everything else. I won't give him you too. She cupped his face. I'm not yours to give. Imine. And I choose to fight. Something broke in his expression. He pulled her down, kissed her hard, desperate, like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. She kissed him back with everything she had. When they broke apart, his forehead pressed to hers. If this goes wrong, it won't. If it does, if he wins, promise me you'll leave. Go back to Ghana. Build your mother's restaurant. Don't let my world destroy your dream. Soo-yoon. Promise me. His voice cracked. Please. I promise, she lied. They both knew it. The hearing was held in a private conference room. Neutral territory. Taeho arrived with his lawyers, his doctors, his paid experts ready to declare Seo Jun unfit. Seo Jun arrived with Chi, Mrs. Park, Min Yu, and a flash drive containing 6 months of financial fraud. The mediator, a retired judge, reviewed the documents in silence, then looked at Taeho. You want to explain these wire transfers? Taeho's lawyer stepped in. Financial transactions aren't relevant to this competency evaluation. Financial transactions proving you bribed medical professionals are extremely relevant. The judge's voice was ice, especially when those professionals are here to testify about your brother's condition. The doctors shifted uncomfortably. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm concerned about the timing of this petition. Your brother was injured 6 months ago. You waited until now to raise competency concerns. Why? He's been declining. Has he? Or has he been recovering? The judge looked at Seo Jun. Mr. Kong, I'd like to hear from you. Directly. Seo Jun met his eyes. My brother orchestrated the attack that paralyzed me. He spent 6 months positioning himself to take control of our family business. This competency hearing is the final step in that plan. That's a serious accusation. I have evidence. Minju stepped forward, presented another tablet, security footage, communications logs, timeline documentation. The judge reviewed it all. The room waited in tense silence. Finally, this hearing is over. The competency petition is denied with prejudice. Taeho's face went white. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm recommending a full investigation into the Busan incident and the subsequent medical fraud. Mr. Kong, he looked at Taeho. I suggest you retain criminal counsel. The lawyers began gathering papers. Scrambling. Taeho stood frozen. Then his eyes found Chi. The look he gave her was pure poison. This isn't over, he said quietly. You think you've won? You've just made yourselves targets. We were always targets, Seo Jun replied. Voice calm, eyes deadly. The difference is now I know exactly where the danger is. Taeho left. The room emptied, until only Seo Jun and Chi remained. We won, she whispered. We survived. He pulled her close. That's not the same thing. They celebrated quietly. Emaresu pagmei samgitang ginseng chicken supu. Comfort food. The staff relaxed for the first time in weeks. She found Seo Jun on the balcony after dinner. Seoul glittering below. November wind sharp and cold. She wrapped her arms around him from behind, rested her chin on his shoulder. What are you thinking? She asked. That I should feel relief. Victory. Something. What do you feel? Tired. Angry. Grateful you're here. He turned in his chair, pulled her into his lap, terrified of what comes next. What comes next is we keep going. Keep fighting. Keep. I love you. The words stopped her breath. He'd said it before. In darkness. In desperation. But this was different. This was sunlight. Certainty. Choice. I love you, he said again. Not because you bring sensation back to my nerves. Not because you stayed when everyone else left. But because when I imagine tomorrow, you're in it. When I imagine a year from now, you're there too. When I imagine the rest of my life. Soo-yoon, I know you're supposed to leave. I know you have plans. Dreams. Your mother's restaurant. His hands cupped her face. I'm not asking you to give that up. I'm asking if maybe I could be part of it. If maybe we could build it together. Chi's eyes burned. You're talking about leaving Seoul. I'm talking about following you. Wherever you go. Gane. Atlanta. Anywhere. His thumb traced her cheekbone. I'll sell everything. Walk away from the empire. Start over. As long as I'm starting over with you. You can't just. I can. I will. His forehead pressed to hers. You brought me back to life, Agia. Let me spend the rest of it proving I'm worth the effort. She kissed him. Soft. Deep. Pouring everything she couldn't say into the contact. When they broke apart, she whispered, I'm not leaving in 11 months. What? I'm not leaving you. I'm not going back to Atlanta alone. I'm not. Her voice broke. I love you too much to walk away. Even for my mother's dream. Chi, you can't. I can. I am. She gripped his face. We'll open the restaurant together. In Accra. In Seoul. Anywhere. But together. His breath shuddered. Then he was kissing her again. Harder. Desperate. His hands in her hair. Her hands gripping his shoulders. The kiss deepened. Turned hungry. Inside, he whispered against her mouth. Now. They barely made it to his bedroom. Hands everywhere. Mouths fused. 6 weeks of tension finally breaking. Seo Jun's hands trembled as they traced her curves. Learning her. Memorizing her. Are you sure? He whispered. We can stop. We can. She kissed him silent. I'm sure. I am yours. I'm Mine. His voice was rough. Possessive. Say it. Yours. He lifted her. Upper body strength alone. Carried her to the bed like she weighed nothing. They fell together. A tangle of limbs and breathless laughter and whispered promises. I love you, he said against her skin. 사랑해. 내 사랑. 내 여자. My love. My woman. She answered in broken Korean. In English. In touches that said everything words couldn't. We finally made love to her. It was slow. Careful. Like she was something precious he was afraid to break. You won't hurt me, she whispered. I know. But you're, his voice cracked. You're everything. I can't. She kissed him. Moved with him. Showed him, without words, that she was strong enough for this. For him. For everything. They came apart together. Holding each other. His name on her lips. Her name on his. Afterwards, they lay tangled in sheets. Her head on his chest. His fingers tracing patterns on her spine. That was, she started. I know. I've never. I know. He kissed her forehead. Neither have I. Not like that. She looked up at him. Really? Really? His eyes held hers. Everything before you was just physical. Empty. This. He touched her face. This was something else entirely. Chi's throat closed. She pressed closer. Let him hold her. Let herself be held. What happens now? She whispered. Now we figure out tomorrow, and the day after, and all the days after that. His arms tightened. Together. Together, she agreed. They fell asleep like that. Two people who'd found something impossible in the darkness, holding on as the world kept spinning. Morning came with sunlight and tangled limbs and a feeling of rightness Chi had never expected to find. She woke to Seo Jun watching her. Creepy, she mumbled. Beautiful, he corrected. Sweet talker. Only for you. She smiled. Stretched. Felt pleasantly sore in ways that made her blush. His fingers traced her spine. Regrets? None. You? Not even close. He pulled her closer, kissed her shoulder, her neck, her jaw. Though I should probably let you eat breakfast eventually. Eventually sounds good. They stayed in bed until Mrs. Park knocked with pointed determination. Boss. Miss Chi, there are appropriate hours for. She paused delicately. Privacy. This is no longer those hours. Chi buried her face in the pillow. Mortified. Soon Yust left. Actually laughed. Rich and warm and completely unexpected. Mrs. Park's voice softened. It's good to hear you laugh, boss. It's good to have a reason. 2 weeks passed. The investigation into Taeho proceeded. Evidence mounted. Criminal charges loomed. Seo Jun's brother disappeared. Vanished from Seoul like smoke. But his absence felt more like a held breath than relief. She didn't care. She was too busy falling deeper. Into love. Into this life. Into the man who looked at her like she'd hung the stars. The sensation in Seo Jun's legs was spreading. Slowly. Inconsistently. But undeniably. She'd documented everything. The returning feeling in his thighs. The muscle responses that shouldn't exist. The way he could shift weight now. Bear it briefly. You're healing, she said one afternoon during therapy. We don't know that. I know that. Your body knows that. She pressed her hand to his knee. Can you feel this? He closed his eyes. Concentrated. Yes. Faint. But yes. Last week you felt nothing there. Last week I had fewer reasons to heal. She kissed him. Quick. Sweet. Flatterer. Realist. The physical therapist, a new one, not on Taeho's payroll, was cautiously optimistic. I've never seen anything like this, he admitted. The nerve response is irregular but present. With aggressive therapy, you might regain partial mobility. Medicine isn't guarantees, Mr. Kong. But there's hope. Real hope. Hope. Seoyun looked at Ki. She smiled. Hope sounded about right. 3 weeks after the hearing, Dr. Morrison appeared again. She was in the kitchen when he arrived. Seo Jun was in meetings with Min Ju. Hey, Morrison said. Friendly. Warm. Long time. James. E. He smiled politely. What brings you by? Dropping off updated medical equipment. And he hesitated. I wanted to check on you. I'm Fina. Are you? Because I heard about the competency hearing. The investigation. He lowered his voice. Everything happening here. I'm fine, she repeated. Firmer. Gee, you're involved with him. With Kong Seo Jun, the Ice King. Do you understand what that means? I understand exactly what it means. Do you? Because Morrison stopped. Reconsidered. He's dangerous. His world is dangerous. You could get hurt. I appreciate your concern. I care about you. Morrison stepped closer. I have since orientation. I thought maybe once you finish this placement, we could. I'm in love with him. Silence. Morrison blinked. What? I'm in love with Seo Jun. I'm not leaving. I'm not interested in anyone else. She met his eyes. I'm sorry if I gave you the wrong impression. But this is where I want to be. With a man in a wheelchair who runs a criminal empire? With a man who sees me. Who loves me? Who's asking about me? Both of them turned. Seo Jun had wheeled to the doorway. Silent as always. But his presence filled the space instantly. His eyes were cold. Locked on Morrison. You must be Dr. Morrison, Seo Jun said. Voice pleasant. Eyes not. The colleague who keeps finding reasons to visit. I was just checking on she. She's fine. I'll make sure of it. I'm sure you do. Morrison's tone carried an edge. But maybe she'd prefer a life that doesn't involve investigations and competency hearings, and maybe you should let her decide that. Seo Jun's voice dropped. Soft. Lethal. Instead of assuming you know what's best for her. Tension crackled. She stepped between them. James, I appreciate your concern, but I'm exactly where I want to be. Morrison looked at her. Really looked. Saw the certainty in her eyes. His shoulders dropped. Okay, he said quietly. Okay, I hope. He glanced at Seo Jun. I hope he deserves you. He does. Morrison left. Silence. Then Seo Jun wheeled closer. He's in love with you. I know. He could give you normal. Safe. A life without investigations and criminal empires and... Chi straddled his lap. Cupped his face. I don't want normal. I want you. Chogia. She kissed him. Deep. Claiming. Making it absolutely clear who she'd chosen. When she pulled back, his eyes were dark. Hungry. You're trying to distract me. Is it working? Absolutely. His hands slid to her hips. But we should probably not do this in the kitchen where Mrs. Park can walk in. Your bedroom. My bedroom. They made love slowly that afternoon. Sunlight streaming through windows. Seoul spread beneath them. The world held at bay. Seoyun worshipped her. Hands and mouth mapping every inch of skin. Learning what made her gasp. Sigh. Beg. I love you. He whispered against her throat. 사랑해. 내 사랑. 내 여자. Yours, she agreed breathlessly. Always yours. When he finally entered her, they both gasped at the perfection of it. They moved together. Slow. Deep. Building to something that felt less like sex and more like communion. Look at me, he commanded softly. She did. His eyes burned into hers. I need you to know something. What? You saved my life. Not just the medical stuff. Not just the sensation. His hand cupped her face. You saved me from becoming the monster my father wanted. You gave me reasons to be better. To choose mercy. To want tomorrow. Chi's eyes burned. You saved me too, she whispered. From grief. From running. From being too afraid to love again. They came apart together. Holding each other. Crying and laughing and completely wrecked. Afterwards, they lay tangled in sheets. Her head on his chest. His fingers in her hair. Marry me, he said. Chi's breath stopped. She looked up. What? Marry me. Not today. Not tomorrow. Whenever you're ready. His eyes held hers. But marry me. Build a life with me. Let me spend 50 years proving I'm worth the risk you took. Soon. I know it's fast. I know we should wait. I know. Yes. He froze. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I'll build a life with you. Yes to all of it. She kissed him. Yes. His arms crushed her against him. They stayed like that. Two people who'd found forever in impossible circumstances, not knowing that forever was about to be tested. The phone call came at midnight. Chi's phone. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then something made her. Hello. Silence. Then breathing. Kyokonkwo. The voice was smooth. Familia. We need to talk about Seo Jun. Her blood went cold. Who is this? His brother. Tayo. A pause. I believe you've been looking for me. Seo Jun was awake instantly. Reached for the phone. She held it away. Put on speaker. What do you want? She asked. To make a deal. You leave my brother. Return to Ghana. Disappear. Taeho's voice was pleasant. Reasonable. And I don't destroy everything he's built. Including you. I'm not leaving him. Then you're choosing to watch him suffer. The voice turned cold. I have documentation of your relationship. The ethics violations. The inappropriate conduct. Enough to end your nursing career. Deport you. Make sure you never work in healthcare again. I don't care. You will. When it's not just you suffering. When it's him. When the medical board investigates his care. When they decide he's been receiving inappropriate treatment. When they assign him to a state facility where... Seo Jun grabbed the phone. Enough. Hung. Brother. Taeho's voice lightened. There you are. You want me. Come for me. Leave her alone. But she's so much more effective as leverage. Taeo laughed. Soft. Mean. You love her. That makes her a weapon I can use. Over and over. Until you break. I won't let you. You can't stop me. Not for where you are. Not in that chair. The voice turned vicious. You're weak. Broken. Pathetic. And everyone knows it. I know something you don't, Seo-jun said quietly. What's that? I can stand. Silence. Then laughter. Disbelieving. You're lying. Come find out. The call ended. She stared at Seo-jun. Can you really stand? I don't know. Maybe. For a few seconds. He pulled her close. But he doesn't know that. And uncertainty is a weapon too. He's going to come for us. I know. What do we do? Seo-jun is tightened. We prepare. We fight. We survive. Together. Together. But they both knew. The war had just begun. And Taeho wasn't finished destroying them yet. My mom said no one wants romance this intense anymore. She said I should write something nice. Something safe. If she's wrong, if you want love stories that consume you completely, subscribe. Help me prove that dangerous romance isn't dead. Taeho made his move 3 days later. She was leaving the penthouse for a supply run. Basic medical equipment. Groceries. Normal errands. Seo-jun had offered to send Minju with her. Security. Protection. She'd refused. I can't live in a cage, she'd said. Even a gilded one. He'd relented. Reluctantly. 2 hours. Check in every 30 minutes. I will. Promise me. She'd kissed him. I promise. She should have let Minju come. The van appeared 3 blocks from the penthouse. Black. Unmarked. It pulled alongside her as she walked. The door slid open. 2 men. Efficient. Professional. She tried to run. They were faster. A hand over her mouth. An arm around her waist. She was inside the van before she could scream. The door slammed shut. Darkness. Don't hurt her. Taeho's voice from the front seat. Calm. Pleasant. She's only valuable if she's intact. He fought anyway. Kicking. Clawing. Something pricked her arm. Sedative. The world went soft. Then dark. She woke in a basement. Concrete floors. Single bulb. Cold seeping through her clothes. Her hands were zip-tied to a chair. Taeho sat across from her. Perfectly dressed. Sipping coffee like this was a business meeting. You're awake. Good. He set down the cup. I apologize for the dramatics. But you refused my generous offer. Chi's mouth was dry. Her head pounded. Let me go. I will. Eventually. He leaned forward. First, you're going to call my brother. Tell him you're leaving. That you realized loving him was a mistake. That you're going back to Ghana. No. No. Taeho's mild. You think you're brave. You're not. You're just naive. I'm not leaving him. Then he'll suffer watching you die. Taeho's voice didn't change. Pleasant. Conversational. Slowly. Painfully. And it will be your fault for refusing to cooperate. Cállese, Paralyzed. But her voice stayed steady. He'll find me. Will he? The broken man in a wheelchair? The king who can't even stand? Taeo laughed. He's not coming. He can't. That's the beauty of what I did to him. I didn't just take his legs. I took his power to protect what he loves. You're wrong. Am I? He pulled out his phone. Showed her the screen. Security footage. Live feed. Seo-jun is Pintos. Seo-jun in his wheelchair. Phone pressed to his ear. Face devastated. Minju beside him. Mrs. Park hovering. He'd realized she was gone. Look at him, Taeho whispered. Broken. Helpless. Exactly where I want him. Chi's eyes burned. But she lifted her chin. You underestimate him. You always have. We'll see. Taeo stood. Headed for the stairs. Wait. He paused. What? Chi asked. Why do this? He's your brother. He protected you. Loved you. He overshadowed me. Taeho's voice turned cold. Every day of my life. Father's favorite. The organization's king. The one everyone feared and respected and followed. He turned. I was nothing. The spare. The backup. The one people remembered only when he failed. So you made him fail. I made myself matter. Taeho's smile was cruel. And now I'm going to make him watch me destroy the one thing he has left. You. He left. The door locked. She was alone. Seo Jun's penthouse was chaos. Minju had every available man searching. Traffic cameras, security footage, street contacts, nothing. Taeho had vanished her like smoke. Boss, Minyu apruwashiet korafuli. We'll find her. When? Seo Jun's voice was empty. Before he hurts her? Before he couldn't finish. Mrs. Park's hand landed on his shoulder. She's strong. She'll survive until you reach her. I can't reach her. I can't, his hands fisted. I can't even walk. Can't chase him. Can't protect her. I am useless. You're not useless. Mrs. Park's voice hardened. You're the Ice King. You've toppled empires from that chair. You'll find her the same way. Seo Jun looked at his hands. The same hands that had built an empire. Destroyed enemies. Held she like she was everything. The same hands that felt useless now. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Where is she? Safe. For now. Taeho's voice was pleasant. Want to keep her that way? Give me the company. Sign over control. Walk away. I'll kill you. With what? You can't even stand. Taeo laughed. Your finished tongue. Accept it. Sign the papers. Save the girl. Live whatever pathetic life you have left. Let me talk to her. Silence. Then Chi's voice. Suyun. Chogia. Are you hurt? I'm Fine. Don't. Her voice caught. Don't give him anything. I'm not worth. You're worth everything. His voice cracked. Stay strong. I'm coming. You can't. The line cut. Seo Jun stared at his phone. Then looked at Minju. Find her. I don't care what it costs. I don't care who you have to break. Find her. Yes, boss. Minju left. Seo Yun said alone. For the first time since Busan, he prayed. Not to God. He'd stopped believing in God when his mother died. But to whatever force had brought she into his life. Keep her alive. Just keep her alive. I'll do the rest. Hour 6. She had tested every zip tie. Every angle. Nothing gave. The basement was empty except for the chair. The bulb. The cold. She hummed. Her mother's songs. The ones that had sustained her through grief. If she was going to die here, she'd die with her mother's voice in her head. The door opened. Taeho returned. Still brave. Still breathing. For now. He circled her. Predatory. Last chance. Call him. Tell him you're leaving. Save yourself. No. Then you're choosing to suffer. I'm choosing him. Every time. Forever. Taeho's expression hardened. He pulled out a knife. Chi's breath caught. I'm going to hurt you now, he said conversationally. No sin permanent. Just enough to make you scream. Seo Jun will hear it. Over the phone. And he'll break. The knife touched her shoulder. She closed her eyes. Thought of Seo Jun. His smile. His hands. The way he said her name like prayer. I love you, she thought. I love you, and I'm sorry I won't make it home. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Running. Heavy. Multiple. Taeho froze. The door exploded inward. Minju appeared. Gun raised. Step away from her. Taeho pressed the knife harder against Chi's shoulder. One more step, and I cut her throat. You won't. Won't I? No. A new voice. Quiet. Lethal. Taeho turned. And there he stood. Seoyun. Not in his wheelchair. On his feet. Blood soaked through his shoulder where he'd been shot getting here. His legs shook violently. Every muscle screaming the wrongness of what he was doing. But he was standing. Get away from her, Seo-jun said softly. Taeho stared. You can't. Apparently I can. Seo-jun took one agonizing step forward. Then another. His hand shot out. Found the wall for balance. You wanted me to stand? Here I am. You're bluffing. You can barely. Seo-yun moved. Faster than anyone expected. Grebte esrist. Twisted. The knife clattered to the floor. Then Seo-jun's fist connected with his brother's face. Taeho went down. Seo-yun stood over him. Legs trembling. blood spreading, but standing. You were right, Seo-jun said quietly. I was broken, weak, pathetic. He looked at Chi, then she walked into my life. And suddenly impossible things became possible. Minju moved in. Secured Dio. Cut Chi's zip ties. She ran to Seo-jun. His arms came around her, held her tight. His legs gave out. They went down together, onto the cold concrete. But she didn't care. She was in his arms. He'd come for her. He'd stood for her. You're bleeding, she whispered against his chest. I know. You could have died getting here. I know that too. His hand cupped her face. But you're alive. That's all that matters. You stood. You actually stood. For you. Only for you. His forehead pressed to hers. I'd do it again. 1,000 times. Forever. She kissed him. Deep. Desperate. Tasting salt and blood and survival. When they broke apart, he whispered, Mama. Don't go. 언제든지. Never. The ambulance came. Paramedics for Sunis shoulder. Police for Taeho. She refused to leave his side. Ma'am, you should get checked. I'm Fine. I'm staying with him. They didn't argue. Seo-jun was loaded into the ambulance. She climbed in beside him. His hand found hers. Gripped tight. Thank you, he whispered, for being worth standing for. Thank you for standing. Always. For you. Always. The ambulance pulled away. Through the back window, she saw Taeho being loaded into a police car. Broken. Defeated. Everything he tried to take from Seo-jun turned to ash. She looked at the man beside her. Blood-soaked. Exhausted. But alive. And hers. I love you, she said. 사랑해, 이 리플라잇. 내 사랑. 내 여자. 내 전부. My love. My woman. My everything. His brother thought destroying his legs would destroy his power. But power was never in his ability to walk. It was in his ability to love someone so completely that impossible things became possible. And that was permanent. The hospital kept Seo-jun overnight. Gunshot treated. Blood loss managed. Physical therapists called in to assess the damage he'd done to his healing nerves. You shouldn't have walked, the doctor said. You could have undone months of progress. Could have caused permanent damage. But I didn't. Seo-jun's eyes found Chi across the room. Did I? The doctor reviewed the scans. Some fell. No. If anything, the nerve response is stronger. Like the trauma forced your body to reconnect pathways that were dormant. Love is better medicine than anything you could prescribe. The doctor left shaking his head. She climbed into the hospital bed beside Seo-jun. You're insane, she whispered. Probably. You could have died. Would have been worth it. Don't say that. It's true. He pulled her closer. A world without you isn't worth surviving in. Chi's eyes burned. She pressed her face into his shoulder. Let herself shake. Let herself feel everything she'd held back in that basement. Terror. Relief. Love. So vast it hurt. I thought I'd lost you, she whispered. Never. Not while I'm breathing. His arms tightened. Stop you do me now. Chogiya. Forever. Good. They fell asleep like that. Two people who'd survived the impossible. Holding on as the world finally stopped trying to tear them apart. If you've been through the tension, the separation, the fear, the reunion is coming. If this story has had you holding your breath, subscribe. The best part is almost here. The hospital released Seo-jun after 48 hours. Against medical advice. You should stay for observation, the doctor insisted. The damage you did to your healing nerves is my problem. Seo-jun was already dressed, sitting in his wheelchair. I'm leaving. Mr. Kong. He's leaving, she said firmly. She'd spent 2 days at his bedside, refusing to go home, refusing to leave. I'm a nurse. I'll monitor him. The doctor sighed, signed the discharge papers. Minju wheeled Seo-jun to the car. She walked beside them. Seoul morning traffic. Gray sky. Normal life happening around them like the world hadn't just tilted on its axis. Boss. Minju's voice was careful. Taeho's been formally charged. Assault. Kidnapping. Conspiracy in the Busan attack. The prosecutors have everything. How long? 20 years minimum. More if they prove the medical fraud. Seo Jun was quiet. Chi's hand found his shoulder. You okay? He's my brother. He tried to kill you. Multiple times. I know. His voice was empty. Doesn't make it hurt less. They drove in silence. The penthouse felt different. Quieter. Like it was holding its breath. Emaresu pakedu pripodu miyokuk sidu supu. Traditional food for healing. You need to eat, she said. Not asking. Commanding. Seo Jun ate because arguing with Mrs. Park was pointless. She sat beside him, their hands linked on the table. What happens now? Mrs. Park asked quietly. I don't know, Seo Jun admitted. The organization is asking questions, Minju said. He'd stayed for the conversation. About succession. About leadership. About. Tell him I'm done. Silence. Minju bling shit. Boss. I'm leaving. The Empire. Seoul. All of it. Seo Jun's hand tightened on Chi's. I'm choosing a different life. You can't just. I can. I am. He looked at Minju. You've been loyal. You'll take over. Transition the legitimate businesses. Dismantle the rest. I'll sign whatever paperwork makes it legal. Minju started. You're serious. Completely. This is about her. This is about me. Seo Jun's voice was quiet. Certain. I've been my father's weapon my whole life. Built an empire on fear and blood. Became exactly what he wanted. And for what? So my brother could betray me? So I could spend 6 months in a wheelchair wondering if this was all there was. He looked at Chi. She didn't save me by bringing sensation back to my legs. She saved me by showing me there's more to life than power and pain. His eyes held hers. I'm choosing her. I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing to be someone who deserves what she's offering. Chi's throat closed. Mrs. Park's eyes were suspiciously bright. Minju was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. I'll handle the transition. Clean exit. No loose ends. Thank you. Where will you go? Ghana, Chi said. Accra. We're opening my mother's restaurant. Minju is molt dvitit. Almost a smile. The Ice King. Running a kitchen in West Africa. Former Ice King, Seo Jun corrected. I'm retiring. The next 2 weeks were logistics and goodbyes. Lawyers. Paperwork. Asset transfers. Seo Jun signed away an empire with the same efficiency he'd built it. His physical therapy intensified. The new therapist, Dr. Yoon, honest and competent, worked him mercilessly. You forced dormant nerve pathways to reconnect through sheer adrenaline and desperation, Dr. Yoon explained. Medically improbable, but you did it. Now we make it permanent. How long until I can walk unassisted? 6 months, maybe a year, with daily therapy and your particular brand of stubborn refusal to accept limitations. Dr. Yoon smiled. You'll walk, just not overnight. Seo Jun looked at Chi. I can wait. We'll wait together, she corrected. The therapy was brutal, relearning muscle memory, building strength, fighting through pain that made Busan look merciful. But every session, Chi was there, counting reps, encouraging, celebrating small victories. 10 steps today, she said after one session. Pride in her voice. 10 steps, he agreed. Exhausted, sweating, triumphant. Tomorrow we'll try for 12. Tomorrow, he promised. Mrs. Park found Chi in the kitchen one evening. You're really leaving? Yes. He's different because of you. Mrs. Park's voice was soft. Softer. More human. Less ice. He was always human. He just forgot. Will you take care of him? In Ghana. We'll take care of each other. Mrs. Park nodded, then did something unexpected. She hugged Chi. Brief. Tight. Almost maternal. Your mother would be proud, she whispered, of the woman you've become, of the choice you're making. Chi's eyes burned. Thank you. And Chi. Mrs. Park pulled back. If he ever forgets to be worthy of you, call me. I'll fly to Accra and remind him. Chi laughed through tears. Deal. 3 weeks after the rescue, they visited Busan. The warehouse was gone. Demolished after the investigation. Just empty land now. Concrete. Weeds. Ghosts. Seo Jun stood, with a cane, trembling, but standing where he'd almost died. This is where it ended, he said quietly. The old life. The old me. She stood beside him, and where the new one started. I should hate this place. Do you? He was quiet. Then, no. I am grateful. For what? For falling. For breaking. For being forced to become someone who could deserve you. He looked at her. If Busan hadn't happened, I'd still be the Ice King. Still be my father's weapon. Still be alone in my empire, wondering why nothing felt like enough. You don't know that. Ido. His hand found hers. You would never have looked at that version of me twice. You'd have finished your year and left. We'd have passed like ships, never connecting. Maybe we were always meant to connect. Busan or not. Maybe. He squeezed her hand. But I'm still grateful. For all of it. Even the pain. Because it led me to you. She kissed him. Soft. Sweet. There in the ruins of his old life. Let's go home, she whispered. Where's home? Wherever we decide it is. They left Busan behind. Two people walking away from ghosts. Choosing tomorrow over yesterday. The final week in Seoul passed too quickly. Saying goodbye to the penthouse. To the city. To the life Seo Jun had known. Minju hosted a small dinner. The loyal staff. The few associates who'd stayed true. To the boss, Minju raised his glass. May his retirement be boring and his wife be terrifying. I'm not his wife yet, she protested. Yet Seo Jun agreed. Smiled. Fix that soon enough. Laughter. Warmth. The kind of goodbye that didn't feel like ending. Just transformation. Later, on the balcony one last time, Chi and Seo Jun watched Seoul glitter. Regrets? She asked. About leaving? No. He pulled her closer. About how I lived before? Yes. But I can't change the past. Only choose better going forward. You're choosing Ghana. Restaurant life. Me. Best choice I've ever made. You haven't tasted my jollof rice yet. Might change your mind. Impossible. He turned her to face him. Chidera Okunkuo. He said her full name carefully. Perfectly. I love you. Not despite the impossible circumstances that brought us together. Because of them. Because you walked into my darkness and refused to let it consume me. Suyun. Marry me. Here. Now. Before we leave. Let me take you to Ghana as my wife. Let me start our new life having claimed you properly. Chi's breath caught. Now. Why wait? Our families. Planning. Aprupe budding. We'll have a proper wedding in Accra. With your family. Your traditions. Everything you want. His hands cupped her face. But let me marry you here first. Small. Private. Just us and the people who helped us survive. She looked at him. At the man who'd stood when medicine said impossible. The man who'd chosen her over an empire. The man who looked at her like she was the only thing in the world worth seeing. Okay, she whispered. Yes, let's do it. His smile could have lit Seoul. They married 2 days later. City Hall. Simple ceremony. Minju and Mrs. Park as witnesses. She wore a simple white dress Mrs. Park had somehow procured overnight. Seo Jun stood, with his cane, trembling slightly, but standing through the entire ceremony. When the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," he didn't need to be told twice. The kiss was soft, deep, full of promises about tomorrows they'd build together. When they broke apart, Mrs. Park was crying. Minju was suspiciously clearing his throat. Indus hojun yithu oginsu kaijuri pusu, ne ane. My wife. Ne nampun, siri pulait. My husband. The flight to Accra left the next morning. First class. Seo Jun had insisted. Last bit of empire money, he'd said. Might as well use it. They settled into their seats. Seoul disappearing below them. Chi's head on his shoulder. His hand at her hair. Scared, he asked. Terrified. Me too. Really, I'm leaving everything I've ever known. Flying to a country I've never visited. To open a restaurant in an industry I know nothing about. He kissed her forehead. Absolutely terrified. We'll figure it out. Together. Together, she agreed. Seo Jun looked out the window, watching Korea disappear in the clouds. 32 years of history. Power. Violence. Fear. Gone. Replaced by a woman's hand in his. A future unwritten. A second chance he'd never expected. 사랑해, 이 있을. For giving me reasons to be better. For loving me when I was unlovable. For being worth impossible things. She kissed him. You were always worth it. You just needed someone to show you. The plane climbed higher, carrying them toward new beginnings. Toward Ghana. Toward peace. Toward home. He'd been the Ice King of Seoul. Built an empire on fear and blood. Destroyed anyone who stood in his way. Then she'd walked into his penthouse. Refused to be afraid. Touched him and brought dead nerves back to life. And suddenly, impossible things became possible. Like standing. Like loving. Like leaving everything behind for a woman who saw him as human instead of monster. Like believing in tomorrow. The Ice King was dead. Long live the man who'd learned to melt. A cry hit them like sunlight after years of shadow. Heat. Color. Life exploding from every corner. Chi's aunt, her mother's sister, met them at the airport. Round face. Bright smile. Arms that pulled Chi into a hug that lifted her off her feet. Chitara, look at you. And this, she turned to Seo Jun, assessing. This is the man who made you abandon Atlanta. Aniyama, this is my husband. Soon. Husband. Alma's eyes went wide. You got married and didn't tell anyone? It happened fast, she said. Understatement of the century. Seo Jun extended his hand. It's an honor to meet you. Alma ignored the hand. Hugged him instead. You take care of my niece, Korean man. Or I will find you. I plan to spend my life doing exactly that. Alma pulled back. Studied him. Then nodded. Good answer. Gulme. The family is waiting. Chi's extended family filled a compound in OSU. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmother sitting in the place of honor. They descended on Chi like a wave. Questions in Chui and English. Laughter. Food appearing from nowhere. Seo Jun stood slightly apart, leaning on his cane, overwhelmed by the chaos. Chi's grandmother, Nana Abina, named for her daughter, approached him. You are the one who married our Chitara. Yes, ma'am. In secret. In Korea. Without family. Yes, ma'am. He braced for judgment. Instead, Nana smiled. My daughter, Chi's mother, she always said love doesn't wait for permission. She was right. Her hand touched his face. Gentle. Assessing. You have suffered. I see it in your eyes. Yes. And you love her. I see that too. More than anything. Then you are family. She patted his cheek. Welcome home, soon. Something in his chest cracked. Home. He'd never had that. Not really. Not until now. They spent a week with family. Learning names. Eating too much. Listening to stories about Chi's mother. Abina was fearless, Alma said one evening. She decided she wanted to cook in America. So she went. No plan. No safety net. Just her grandmother's recipes and a dream. Like Chi, Seo Jun said quietly. Exactly like Chi, Alma smiled. The dream doesn't die. It just finds new people to carry it. They found a restaurant space the following week. OSU. Busy street. Perfect location. Small, but exactly what Chi's mother had described. Windows facing the street. Kitchen big enough for ambition. Walls that needed paint and dreams. It's perfect, Chi whispered. Seo Jun looked around. Saw potential instead of limitations. We'll make it beautiful. You think I'm letting you do this alone? He pulled her close. I'm your husband. Your partner. He searched for the word. Sous chef. She laughed. You can't cook. I'll learn. You taught me to feel again. Teaching me to cook should be easy. Renovations took 2 months. Seo Jun threw himself into the work with the same intensity he'd once used to build an empire. Paint, repairs, equipment installation. His physical therapy continued daily, walking further without the cane, rebuilding strength, but every spare moment went to the restaurant. You don't have to do this, she said, watching him sand a table. Sweat on his brow, determination on his face. Yes, I do. Why? Because this was your mother's dream. Because you sacrificed everything to get here. Because, he looked at her, because building something with you is better than destroying things alone ever was. Chi's eyes burned. She crossed him, kissed him, deep, claiming, I love you, she whispered against his mouth. 나도 사랑해. Me too. 3 months after arriving in Accra, Chi realized she was late. 2 weeks late. She bought a test, took it in the bathroom of their small apartment, stared at the 2 lines that appeared. Pregnant. Her hand pressed against her stomach. Flat, unchanged, but growing life inside. Their child, hers and Seo Jun's. She walked out to find him reviewing paint samples for the restaurant sign. Soon. He looked up, saw her face, stood immediately. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's. She handed him the test. He stared at it, looked at her, back at the test. You're pregnant. About 6 weeks, I think. His hand trembled. We're having a baby. We're having a baby. He crossed to her in 3 strides, pulled her into his arms, held her like she was the most precious thing in the world. 당신은 나에게 모든 것을 주었어요. You've given me everything. We gave each other everything, she corrected. He knelt, slowly, carefully, his hands on her stomach. 안녕, 작은 것. Hello, little one. His voice was thick. I'm 유로 아빠, your father. I don't know how to do this, how to be this, but I promise I'll learn. I promise I'll be better than my father. I promise I'll love you and your Oma every day for the rest of my life. Chi's tears fell into his hair. This man, this impossible, beautiful, broken man who'd learned to stand for her, now kneeling, talking to their unborn child, promising to be better. She'd never loved him more. Abina's kitchen opened 4 months after they arrived in Accra. Soft opening. Family and friends only. The space was transformed. Warm colors. Her mother's recipes framed on the walls. Table Seo Jun had built with his own hands. She stood in the kitchen, her mother's kitchen, finally real, and felt peace settle into her bones. She'd be proud, Alma said, appearing beside her. I hope so. I know so. Look what you built. Look who you built it with. Alma gestured to Seo Jun, charming Chi's cousins with broken shui and self-deprecating humor about his cooking skills. You honored her dream and created your own. That's everything she wanted. The evening was perfect. Food that tasted like home. Laughter that filled corners. Love that saturated the air. Seo Jun found Chi between courses. Pulled her aside. Come with me. Where? Trust me. He led her outside, to the small courtyard behind the restaurant. Lights strung overhead. A table set for 2. What is this? Our beginning. He pulled out her chair. The first meal in your mother's restaurant should be ours. He sat, overwhelmed. He prepared jollof rice. Somehow, probably with Alma's help. It was slightly burned, overspiced, imperfect. It was the most beautiful thing she'd ever tasted. You made this. I've been practicing. In secret. He sat across from her. Wanted to surprise you. Wanted to show you that I'm serious about this life. About being your partner. About. It's perfect. It's terrible. I know it's terrible. It's perfect because you made it. She reached across the table. Took his hand. Thank you. For this. For everything. For choosing this life with me. Choosing you is the easiest decision I've ever made. His thumb traced her knuckles. The gesture that had become theirs. Everything else was just logistics. They ate under the stars. 2 people who'd found each other in impossible circumstances. Building impossible dreams. Creating impossible joy. Later, back in their apartment, Chi cleaned while Seo Jun reviewed orders for the restaurant. She stepped on the wet floor she'd just mopped. He wheeled through, still using the chair sometimes when his legs were tired. You're standing on my clean spot, she said. Not annoyed. Playful. He looked down, looked at her, smiled. That smile. The one she'd spent weeks waiting to see in Seoul. The one that came easily now. Am I? You are. What are you going to do about it? She crossed him, straddled his lap, kissed him breathless. That, she said when they broke apart. I'm going to do that. Then I'll stand on your clean spots more often. Please do. He kissed her again, hands sliding into her hair. The gesture that meant home. Safety. Love. I fell for you the moment you treated me like a man instead of a tragedy, he whispered against her lips. I'll keep falling for the rest of my life. Good. She kissed him again. I'm counting on it. 6 months after leaving Seoul, they attended a beach cleanup in Accra. Community service. Giving back. Seo-jun walked the beach. No cane, just slight hesitation in his gait, collecting trash alongside strangers who had no idea he'd once been the Ice King. She watched him laugh with a group of teenagers. Speak broken Shui. Be completely, beautifully normal. You're staring, Alma said beside her. I am appreciating. He's come far. From what you've told me. We both have. Chi's hand rested on her stomach. 5 months now. Starting to show. Her mother's dream realized. Her own life built. A family growing. Everything impossible made possible. Mama, she whispered to the ocean. I did it. I honored your dream. And I found mine too. I hope you're proud. The waves whispered back. She felt, in that moment, her mother's presence. Her approval. Her love. And she knew everything had led to this. The grief. The journey to Seoul. The broken man in a wheelchair who'd learned to stand. All of it. Leading here. To this beach. This life. This impossible, beautiful tomorrow. Seo-yun appeared beside her. Pressed a kiss to her temple. Ready to go home? He asked. Yeah. She laced her fingers through his. Let's go home. They walked up the beach together. 2 people who'd survived impossible things. Who'd loved through darkness. Who'd chosen each other over everything else. Going home to the life they'd built. To the restaurant that honored the past. To the baby that promised the future. To the love that made it all possible. 8 months later, she woke to sunlight streaming through white curtains and the sound of her husband singing off-key in the kitchen. Korean lyrics. Ghanaian breakfast smells. Their life had become beautiful chaos. She pressed her hand to her stomach. 8 months pregnant. Their daughter, they found out at the last ultrasound, was active this morning. She's going to be a drummer, Seo-jun had said when he felt the kicks. Or a fighter. Either way, she gets it from you. She eased out of bed, waddled. There was no dignified way to move anymore to the kitchen. Seo-jun stood at the stove. No wheelchair in sight. He'd retired it 3 months ago. Kept it in storage, just in case, but hadn't needed it since. He wore an apron that said "Kiss the Cook" in English and Shui. Alma's gift. He wore it unironically. Good morning, Noble. Darling. Morning. She slid her arms around him from behind, as much as her belly allowed. What are you making? Wache. Alma's teaching me. He gestured to his phone propped on the counter. FaceTime with her aunt. I am failing spectacularly. Alma's laugh crackled through the speaker. You're doing fine, Seo-jun. Just stop adding so much pepper. How do you know I added pepper? Because you're you. You add pepper to everything. He laughed, kissed his shoulder. She's right. Betrayed by my own wife. You'll survive. He turned in her arms, kissed her properly, his hands gentle on her belly. How's our daughter this morning? Active. I think she's training for the Olympics in there. Takes after her mother. He knelt slowly, spoke to Chi's stomach. 좋은 아침, 공주님. Good morning, princess. Please let your ma sleep sometimes. She needs rest. The baby kicked, right against his hand. His eyes went wide, delighted. She heard me. She always hears you. She's going to be a daddy's girl. Absolutely. Chi's hand covered his. And you're going to be the most overprotective father in Ghana. Korea and Ghana, he corrected. I'm covering both countries. Alma's voice interrupted. Are you two being disgustingly cute again? Always, they said in unison. Abina's kitchen had become an institution. Lines out the door most nights. Reviews calling it Seoul meets Accra and fusion done right. She ran the kitchen. Seo-jun managed front of house. They'd hired staff, local kids who needed jobs, who learned cooking and business and how to dream bigger. Your mother would burst with pride, Nana said during Sunday dinner. Not just the restaurant, but who you've become. Both of you. Seo-jun squeezed Chi's hand under the table. They'd told Nana everything eventually. His past, the empire, the violence, the wheelchair, the impossible recovery. She'd listened without judgment, then said, "The man you brought you to my granddaughter. The man you're becoming honors what she's given you. That's all that matters." Absolution from a grandmother who understood that people were more than their worst moments. Late afternoon, she found Seo-jun in the restaurant's small office. Skype call on his laptop. Minju's face on the screen. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Fine. Just checking in." Seo-jun gestured to the screen. "Minju's updating me." "Boss." Minju nodded. "I was just telling him the last of the transition is complete. All legitimate businesses sold or restructured. Underground operations dismantled. The Kong Empire is officially retired. How do you feel about that?" "Ki est-seun." He was quiet for a moment. Relieved. "Like closing a book I've been forced to read for 30 years. The organization misses you," Minju said. "The legitimate side, anyway. You built something that actually helped people. Employed thousands. That doesn't disappear. It doesn't need me anymore. That's the point." Suyun Nukteki. "Ehebidi. I'm building something different now. I can see that." Minju smiled. "You look happy, boss." "I am. For the first time in my life, I actually am." They signed off with promises to visit. Someday, when the baby was older. Seo-jun closed the laptop, pulled Chi into his lap carefully. "Any regrets?" she asked. "About leaving Seoul?" "No." His hand settled on her belly. Protective. Tender. "I'd do it again. 1,000 times. Forever. Even for terrible wache and overprotective grandmothers and a wife who can barely see her feet anymore. Especially for that." He kissed her. "You gave me everything I didn't know I needed. A home, a family, a reason to be better than my bloodline. You gave me the same thing. We saved each other." "We did." Their daughter kicked. They laughed. Perfectly imperfect moment. Perfectly them. That evening, they walked the beach. Slowly. Kaise wodolpache. Seo-jun's hand steady on her back. The sun set over the Atlantic. Gold and orange, an impossible beauty. "Tell me about your mother," Seo-jun said quietly. "The version of her I'll never meet. The one who lives in your memories." She was quiet. Then she sang. All the time. In the kitchen. In the car. Embarrassing me in grocery stores. She smiled at the memory. She had this laugh. Loud. Completely unself-conscious. She'd throw her head back and just let it out. "You laugh like that now." "Doi." "You do. Especially when Amma tells stories. Or when I burn dinner. Or when the baby kicks." He pulled her closer. "You carry her with you. In everything you do." "I spent so long running from the grief," she admitted. "Came to Seoul to escape the apartment full of her things. The memories. The pain. But loving you taught me that grief and love aren't opposites. They're the same thing. We grieve because we loved. We love because we're capable of surviving the grief." She looked at him. "My mother died. That broke me. But loving you, loving this life we built, that's how I honored what she gave me." Seo-jun stopped walking, turned her to face him. "I love you, Chitter-kong, for being brave enough to walk into my darkness, for refusing to see me as broken, for choosing impossible things over safe ones." His hand cupped her face. "And I love your mother, for raising someone strong enough to save a man who didn't know he needed saving." Chi's tears fell. Happy tears. Healing tears. "She'd love you too," she whispered. "She always said I needed someone who could keep up with me. Someone who wouldn't be afraid of my strength. I'm terrified of your strength. I just love you more than I fear it." She laughed through tears. Kissed him. The baby kicked between them. Their daughter. Growing. Thriving. Proof that impossible things happened every day. 2 weeks later, their daughter arrived. 20 hours of labor. Seo Jun beside Chi the entire time, holding her hand, breathing with her, being her anchor. I can't, Chi gasped at hour 18. I can't do this. You can. You stood in front of a knife for me. You survived my world. You built a restaurant from nothing. You can do anything. This is different. This is the same. You're the strongest person I've ever met. She's coming. Just a little longer. At 4:47 a.m., the same time Chi had found the evidence that saved them, their daughter was born. Perfect. Tiny. Screaming with impressive lung capacity. The nurse placed her on Chi's chest, and the world stopped. Unknown. Agi. Hello, baby. Seo Jun's voice broke. I'm your appa. That's your oma. We're your family. We're gonna love you so much. She looked at her daughter, at her husband, at the impossible family they'd created. What should we name her? Seo Yun whispered. She didn't hesitate. Abina, for my mother. And she looked at him. Your mother's name? Minhee. Abina Minhee Kong. She tested it. Abby for short. Perfect. He kissed Chi's forehead. Then their daughters. Welcome to the world, Abina Minhee. You're the most loved person in existence. 6 months later, Abby's christening filled the compound. Family from Ghana. Minju flew in from Seoul. Mrs. Park sent an elaborate gift and a card that made Seo Jun's eyes suspiciously wet. Nana held Abby during the ceremony, blessed her in Chui and English, welcomed her to the family. She has your eyes, Amma told Chi in his stubborn chin. Heaven help us, Chi laughed. Seo Jun stood with his daughter after the ceremony, walking her around the compound, introducing her to family. She watched from the doorway. This man, this impossible man who'd learned to stand, to love, to be soft, now cradling their daughter like she was made of glass and dreams. You're staring again, Amma said. I'm appreciating again. Do you ever regret it? Staying with him? Choosing his chaos over the simple life. She looked at her daughter, at her husband, at the family and friends and life they'd built. Never, not for a second. Good, Amma suizit, Herr Schulder. Because looking at you three, that's not chaos. That's grace. That night, after family left and Abby slept in her crib, Chi and Seo Jun collapsed on their bed. Exhausted. Happy. Complete. We did it, Chi whispered. Did what? Built the impossible. Your recovery. Our love. This life. Abby. All of it. We did. He pulled her close. And we're just getting started. More impossible things. Always. Forever. Until we're old and gray and still arguing about your clean spots. She laughed. Kissed him. I love you, Kong Seo Jun. 사랑해, Chi. 내 아내. 내 사랑. 내 전부. My wife. My love. My everything. Outside, Accra hummed with life. Inside, a family slept. The Ice King. The Sunshine Nurse. The daughter who proved that love could resurrect anything. 3 people who'd survived impossible things. Who'd chosen each other over everything else. Who'd built a life that tasted like jollof rice and kimchi and fusion dreams. Who'd proven that sometimes, just sometimes, impossible was exactly where miracles lived. If you made it here, heart full and maybe crying happy tears, thank you. Thank you for trusting me with 2 hours and a love story that defied every odd. Here's my question. Have you ever chosen something impossible? Someone you shouldn't have wanted? A dream that looked too big? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Remember my mom? She still thinks I should write nice stories. If you're glad I don't, if you want more love that's consuming and impossible and absolutely worth it, subscribe. There's someone scrolling right now, needing a story exactly like this. You could be the reason they find it. One more thing. Where are you watching from? Drop your city. I love knowing how far these stories travel. From Seoul to Accra to your corner of the world. Until the next impossible love story, take care of your heart. And maybe find yourself someone who looks at you the way he looked at her. Like you're the only reason impossible things become possible. Because you are. You absolutely are. Across the world, in a penthouse in Seoul, another man sat in darkness. Different name, different pain, same emptiness. He didn't know it yet, but someone was about to walk into his life. Someone who wouldn't flinch. Someone who'd refuse to see him as broken. Someone who'd prove that impossible things happened every day. Her story was about to begin.